I want to thank you guys for joining me again today. I got something very exciting I want to show you. No fancy studios or anything, we're still working on that. I don't know a whole lot about video editing or how I should probably be doing this to make it look great, but what I will do is bring you a really cool firearm to talk about. We got the new HK MR556 A4 11-inch pistol. This thing is sick. We're going to go through it and show you what it comes with. I'm going to tell you what I do and don't like about it, and then I'll probably go through and do a basic field strip. Hopefully I can follow up with a live shooting video. It's cold and nasty. We're up here in Northwest Indiana. It's snowing today. It's about 30 degrees, which isn't too bad, but it was nasty out, so, and I'm not much for the cold weather. But let's dive into this thing. So what you get with it is going to be the owner's manual, and I actually thumbed through this thing, and it's got like a lot of nice illustrations. It's very informative. Comes with an HK sticker. One thing I do and don't like is the bag. This appears to be the same bag that they send with the SP5s. I like the bag in that it seems like it's fairly well made, and it looks nice. It's a nice looking bag. It's got their branding on it. One thing I don't like is it's got the big Made in China tag over here. Kind of sucks they had to source this from China, but I get it. Another thing, this might in fact be the same case the SP5 comes with. It's a little short. So this pistol does not come with a brace, and from muzzle to butt or receiver extension, it fills this case entirely. Even the little muzzle protector end here, which is just Velcroed in, it comes out. It's too long, and they've got it pretty much shoved in the back, curled up over the side. I don't care for that. So for you guys that are going to put a brace on it or SBR it, you know, put a buttstock on it, it's going to get tight in this case real quick. Real quick, we'll dive into what comes in the bag here. This is one of the things that disappointed me. It comes with a PMag. Magpul is great. PMags are great. I love them, but for an HK and the HK price tag, I would have expected something a little more HK, I guess. You get your standard lock, you know, your $1.50 lock or whatever, and then it comes with a an Allen wrench set, and it also has a flat and a Phillips blade in there too. It's labeled HK. The bag says made in Taiwan, so not super impressive, and that's it. But that's not what, let's be honest, that's what we're not what we're purchasing a firearm like this for. We're buying it because of the HK quality that we know and love. So like I said again, the bag is nice. These straps, they're on a Velcro backing, so you can peel them up and you can move them around in the bag wherever you want, wherever it fits best for you. So that's nice. You're not locked into something that doesn't really work once you accessorize your gun. You know, once you start adding optics and stuff, you're going to end up having to move this thing. This pouch, I mean, it's great for mags, I guess, but I don't know. It'd probably end up being for a suppressor for me or something, or you throw a different suppressor pouch in here somewhere. But so let's see what we get for HK money here. So you get an 11-inch barrel. It's piston operated. Make sure you guys can see this thing. These things they're sharp. They're really sharp. It's the closest thing you can get to an HK, you know, a factory HK 416 out there. I like it a lot. This is just rubber. It just pops into the M-lock. It's nothing special. You're going to take that out right away. Kind of like curb feelers on a, you know, Dodge Charger or something. But so, diving deeper into it, you got a piston-operated system with a 2-position gas block. So it's got an N and an S. See if I can do this. Yeah. So the N stands for normal, the S for suppressed. As I went through the manual on this thing, it did say that some, not all, some modern flow-through design suppressors will not need to run in the suppress position. So if you got a low back pressure suppressor, it's going to make a big difference for you. Moving on, it's got that, this is pretty typical of HKs if you don't have experience with HK rifle platforms. This oversized castle nut is something that I've only ever seen on HKs. I imagine it's heavy duty, One thing it does do is it kind of, with most bus stocks, it'll make it so that the very forward collapse position, a lot of times it won't even reach that. I don't think it's a problem. Most people aren't shooting with their stock completely collapsed, but just something to be aware of. It is staked, the castle nut is staked, and they actually have a white paint witness mark in there, which I found interesting. I haven't noticed witness marks on any other components in this except for that castle nut. Now, one thing I like that they do on the receiver extension or buffer tube on the HKs, and this is true of the MR556 A1 as well, they have spring tensioned ball bearings in here, and that's going to help take out any flex or wobble. Now, I don't have one with me, but this is a mil-spec carbine tube, so any mil-spec brace or stock is going to slide right on here. We tried, it works, believe me. It comes with a QD point in the end plate, on the receiver extension end plate, and so that's a nice feature to have a QD point built in. For the money, I would certainly expect at least that. It also has two nice QD points in the handguard. Now, this is an M-lock handguard. I've seen some ramblings online, people being upset that they didn't give the 416 A5 quad rail type handguard on this. I will not lie, because I like Mark 18s, right? The Daniel Defense Riz 2. I like those handguards a lot. So it's just super vibey with the quad rail. But in reality, this is the future. I have seen a few online sources for the A5 quad rail handguard that will bolt on this. It's not the same as the A1 handguard. I'm just kind of showing you, it's much narrower on here, and I think they actually call it a slimline. I know they call this stock, like the standard stock that would come on the rifle version of this, and what they put on the 416 A5, they call that a slimline stock. It's really cool. Right now there are no cheap sources on it, because I'd like to get one for this thing, just to make it, you know, as accurate as it can be for what a 416 would be. But I can't bring myself to spend what those stocks are commanding right now. So moving forward, we've got a dual latch charging handle. They actually did a nice job on this as well. You can very easily grab it from either side to pull that charging handle back. One feature I like, I have mixed feelings, okay, is the safety selector. So it is an ambidextrous selector, and I do like the bullet markings. I love HK bullet markings on the appropriate firearm, obviously. But what they did is it's a 45-degree selector. And it is in fact 45 degrees. I was debating in my head whether or not it was 30 or 35 or 45. The manual confirms it is a 45-degree selector. Where my mixed feelings come from is I've got a drop-in auto sear, and so I would have to replace this selector, which it looks like you can do. On the inside it looks totally normal, and we'll show you that when we field strip it. But none of my selector markings would work out if I wanted to put a standard 3-position in here, and I haven't seen a solution for this otherwise. I think Geisley actually made like a 90-degree 3-position selector that was available for military and law enforcement, although that's been a while and I don't think they're available on the market. Most of you guys won't have to worry about that. So on the HKs, and this was standard on the MR556 A1 as well, the dust cover is plastic on these, which I don't see as being a problem. It snaps closed. It does what it's supposed to do. It's going to be open 99% of the time anyway when you're using the gun, so not something to worry about. Now, what they've done that's really cool versus the MR556 A1 is they've made it completely ambidextrous lower, not just the selector. You've got an ambidextrous bolt catch here, and it's right here, you know, where you can use your trigger finger to manipulate that both directions to either lock it open or to drop the bolt and send it home. You got your standard AR style mag button here, mag release button, and then it is ambidextrous, so this is proprietary. I've not seen this style On any other, the button is large and generous here, and then you've got a large paddle on this side. Now, with your ambi control, your ambi bolt catch, it's got a fence. It's got a large fence around the bolt catch on this side, which I like, so you don't inadvertently hit that. It also has a fence built in underneath the catch on this side, if you can see it there. So that's pretty cool. And we'll try to get some close-ups on that for you. Now, the grip, I'm not a huge fan. It doesn't feel bad, but to me, it's an HK, and I really wanted that 416 look and feel. I'll be changing this out for a 416 grip. To me, probably not necessarily my least favorite, but one of my least favorite HKs is going to be the VP9 and the P30 series. I just don't care for them. I don't know why. They're great guns mechanically, reliability standpoint, great guns. I don't personally care for them the way they fit and feel in my hand. I don't care for the looks, and likewise, I don't care for how that carries over into the grip on the new MR556 A4. It's just too much of a copy for the VP9 for me, so I'll be getting rid of that. Comes with your standard birdcage flash hider on here. It's going to do what it's supposed to do. You know what I mean? It's nothing special. A lot of us are going to be replacing this out for some sort of suppressor mount anyhow. I know that I want to shoot this thing unsuppressed and suppressed. So it'll be getting swapped out anyhow. I haven't decided what I'm going to throw on this thing yet. But that's part of the fun of it, trying to figure that out. Also, I forgot to mention, it does have an enlarged, like almost like a winter style trigger guard. So this shouldn't be difficult to operate with gloves on. It gives you generous room in here for your trigger finger. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Overall, the gun, I think it said it weighs 6.67 pounds or something like that. So just a touch over 6.5 pounds. It's not heavy. It actually, I don't have it anymore, but I had an MR556 A1 that we had done a complete 416D conversion on. It was a beautiful gun. Unfortunately, I had to sell it a couple years ago. I missed that gun. I wish I hadn't sold it, but it was a tank. It weighed much more than this, I will tell you that. So they've slimmed this down. Where all the weight loss is from, I'm not 100% sure. This has like what we would normally refer to as like a government style profile, or it's a narrowed down profile on the barrel, so it's not a heavy barrel the entire way, but it's not overly thin either. I'll pop apart what I can here without tools if I can, and then try to show you the inside of this thing. And this one, I have wiped a ton of the oil off, so these actually come pretty wet with oil. They're pretty wet and pretty nasty, so like I said, I wiped off most of it. I'll show you what I can on the inside here. There's some cool features. So it does have the HK style fire control group pocket cut that if you've ever messed with the MR556, you're going to be familiar with. It's the same. One thing I like from like a mechanical durability engineering standpoint, and this is a carryover from the A1 as well, is they pin there's a hole back here, and you're probably thinking, what the hell is that hole for? Well, they pin the buffer tube in, so it's kind of an anti-rotation device, I would assume, but it's neat because it's really secure, it's really tight the way they do that. They did change the takedown pins. These are standard, or at least appear standard, as far as the takedown pins go, where previously they had the takedown pins with the lock, and you had to use like a pen or a punch or a bullet tip or something like that to push the lock and unlock it to get it to go out. Those, they looked neat. Man, they were a pain in the butt. They were certainly a pain in the butt. Now this thing's got the standard HK fire control group, and what I find interesting, and this is true on the A1 as well, is they do have a sear hook on the hammer, and I could never understand why that's the case. Now they advertise this as a 4.5 to 5 pound trigger press, and I will say this is actually a very, very smooth trigger press. It is nothing like your standard mil-spec trigger. On the HKs as well, this is something different from your standard AR-15. A standard AR-15 when the hammer's dropped, you cannot manipulate the selector into the safe position. On the HKs, you can. It's just some sort of mechanical clearance thing. I don't understand. I never really dug deep into why it's possible on these and not the others. I know on a standard AR-15, it's because of the way the trigger moves. It interferes with the selector. I haven't really dived into this one to figure that out. But the safety works, I will assure you. Just something kind of neat. Also, another neat feature that's different from your standard AR-15 is the buffer retainer pin. It's not a standard round pin like you find on your normal AR-15 design. It's more of like a squared off rectangular shape, and it's pretty cool. We'll pop that out in a couple minutes here. Actually, I'll just pop it out now. Show you if I can. So there's that. So one thing I noticed is in the last detent hole for your stock is actually open. It's drilled all the way through. I imagine this is for draining water or moisture, as it's a way for air to escape when the gun cycles. So I found that to be interesting. And what I was able to see through that hole that I haven't previously taken this out of this gun is it is painted red on the last 4 or 5 coils down here. And so I'm sure that means something from a factory standpoint. The red paint's already wiping off a little bit on my hands, so it's not going to be a durable finish. But it probably has something to do with the manufacturing and how they control which spring is for which. HK does spend a lot of time marking either their logo or proof marks or part numbers on nearly every part. That's kind of cool. I don't know if the camera is going to focus in on that, but it actually is engraved HK on the buffer, which I think is pretty cool. Otherwise, it looks like standard carbine size buffer. See if there's anything else unique about the lower that I probably should cover. I really don't. I did notice there are 4 holes on the back, and it's greasy as heck just by opening it up. There are 3 large holes and 1 small hole in the center of the receiver extension. That's probably also going to be for moisture, water to escape, as well as air when that buffer is cycling back and forth in the tube. On to the upper. So you've got your charging handle here. It was a little stuck there because the dust cover was closed. So your bolt carrier, at a glance, it's going to look standard, but this is a piston-operated gun, and HK does a few things different. So this is spring-loaded on the bolt, so you don't have any rings in there or anything to wear out. They also incorporate, if you can see, and we'll get some close-ups on this too when I further take it down, there is a firing pin safety, and this is something common to all the MR models, even the previous A1s, and that's going to prevent an inertia, a situation where inertia is able to strike a primer and potentially have a discharge that way from dropping the bolt on soft primers or something like that. So what happens is when the hammer comes up, it has to move this out of the way. So if the hammer is not doing the work, it's not going to fire simply from firing pin inertia hitting the back of the primer. They do mark this. It's marked HK, MR, and then there's a white mark on the front of the carrier. I'm not sure what that white mark means. We've got part numbers here, as well as a date code and your caliber on this side of the carrier. I got into this business starting out with AKs, and everybody's always talking about numbers matching this, numbers matching that. And so, and proof marks are a big deal, especially when you get into, historically important military firearms. And so all these markings, I just think they're really cool. You're not going to see this stuff on most standard AR parts. Another thing, the bottom of the carrier here, which is going to ride over the hammer, this is polished, extremely polished, and that's how they are from the factory. I didn't do anything to this gun. I have not fired this gun yet. Another thing that disappoints me a little bit, but this is a carryover from the A1. is this looks like a full M16 cut bolt carrier group. It is not. This is cut back probably, excuse me, 3/16 or nearly 1/4 of an inch. So when I break the rest of this down and show you, I'll grab another bolt carrier group and do them side by side so you can see. But this is cut back further. So if you were planning on running like an FRT or a drop-in sear or something like that, this is not going to activate it the way it is. You're going to have to find a solution for that. Either replace the carrier or build this up or build a spacer or something like that to go in there. Another thing that they carried over from the A1, which doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me, but it's a little annoying. They've got this notch here, and this notch is only found on the semi-auto variants that HK produces. And that notch interacts in the upper. Let me get this charging handle out of the way. The charging handle, again, they did a nice job on that, the ambi controls. This feels super solid. There's a white dot up here. Again, I don't know what that's for or what it indicates. In the upper, on the barrel extension, and you likely won't be able to see it from here, there is actually a little lug that sticks into the receiver, and it prevents you from putting any other type of bolt carrier in this gun, except for the one designed for it, and that notch clears it. So, and we've done this before for guys, I've seen plenty of guys do it. You can take your barrel out, and you can literally just cut that lug off of there, and it's not going to interfere or hurt anything. If you wanted to put an aftermarket carrier in it, like probably, I'd have to look again, but like Brownells was making a 4/16 carrier that had the full M16 cut, if that's something that you need for your application, and you'd be able to throw that one in the gun. Now with this, the gas key, or what we would normally call a gas key, this is actually machined into the bolt, or the carrier, I should say, and it interacts with the operating rod. So this is a short stroke piston system, so the piston's gonna push back on the op rod pushes back on the carrier. But what's neat is there's no bolts to worry about. Guys are always talking about in the AR community, they're talking about, oh, let's see the bolt staking and all that stuff. You don't have bolts. This is machined, it's one piece, it cannot break off. I mean, if it broke off, you're having a really bad day. It's not something like just a couple bolts stripped out or sheared. This is machined, it's a solid piece, and so I'm really impressed with that. Other than that, we're gonna get a couple tools and we'll get you some close-ups, and we'll field strip this as far as we can. All right, we're back. I had to reset the camera, grab a couple tools. I don't think I'm gonna need more than I grabbed a punch and a fat wide blade screwdriver. So we're gonna start with the bolt carrier group. It's something I found interesting on the HKs, and I like it quite a bit. Your firing pin retainer is captive. So what does that mean? Captive means you're not going to push it all the way out. And the manual actually says that if you try to fully remove this, you will damage it. So so don't try to fully remove it on your own. So we'll take a look here and see what it takes to get this out. So I'm gonna, yep. So I just lifted the firing pin safety lever out of the way, and the firing pin begins to drop out. And there's a spring here as well. And so that spring's a safety feature. Some firearms have stuff like this. Most AR-15s do not. I might be screwing this up. Hopefully I'm not. Make sure I keep it under the camera here. But, I mean, this is not a standard AR-15 firing pin. The shape of the head on this thing is completely different. It's substantial compared to a standard firing pin. So we'll move on. We're going to pull out our cam pin, and then our bolt. And so you can see the style of this bolt. They've got several markings on this. We've got MR, and then over here, let's see, so much oil. We've got HK, a date code, a part number, and the caliber. And then some other type of markings over here. Looks like 3JCE. I don't know if that's date code or a proof mark or what. And then This is, I don't want to say polished, but it's not chrome either. I guess it's almost like just an unfinished steel, or I'm sure it's some sort of level of polishing or whatever. It's like the grinding finish that they put on them, and I'm talking precision grinding, not your Dremel guys. But these are very nice. I mean, it's a nice part, and I would expect nothing less for what these things are retailing for. I did forget to grab that other bolt for you, or that other bolt carrier group, to show you the difference between the M16 cut, but I'll show you here. So you can see this line here where they machined around. That lines up perfectly with where an M16 cut would be on a standard AR-15 bolt carrier group. And you can see where the line is in relation to where it's cut here. This is cut back quite a bit from that. So this is not going to engage your FRTs or your, your sear if you have one. That's more of an SOT thing. I know there's guys out there with transferable sears, but most of you don't have to worry about that. So that's pretty basic as far as field stripping the bolt carrier. It's really no different than a standard AR-15 in terms of how you field strip it, although the design is slightly different on it. We'll pop the handguard off. I'll show you how the piston assembly comes out of the upper. And so it's just got one bolt. This is also a captive bolt on these. Hopefully it's not too tight. Yeah, it's pretty snug. But we got that broke free. We're going to back out this screw. And there, you just heard it pop in. Something else, I want to back up here and show you something really neat that I noticed on this and I've never seen before. In the rear lug for the upper, hopefully that's focusing in for you, there's actually like a flat spring washer in there. And that actually does a real good job of taking out any slop that might be in your upper receiver in the fitment between the upper and the lower, wiggling it around. They fit really snug, and you can tell when you push the takedown pins in, you can really tell that spring is doing work. But we got our handguard bolt out, and like I said, it is a captive pin. There's a wire spring in here that prevents it from coming all the way out. You can take it out, but it helps you not lose that, and it's designed for guys in the field. Something else is there's an indexing lug on your upper, which you're not going to see on low quality handguards, and even some high quality handguards don't have a whole lot for indexing. It's really nice that they build that into theirs from the factory. It's nice and snug, and plus I don't want to scratch this up. Get this thing off of here. All right. So here you've got your piston and op rod assembly. This comes apart real simple. At least it has in the past for me. Let's see if I can. You're going to pull this back. And there's your op rod assembly. Okay. And there's quite a bit of engineering into this stuff, guys. They've got so many features built into this. The op rod's going to move through this. I'm going to call it a collar. So the op rod is not making contact with your upper receiver. It's a precision machine component, so it's going to help keep everything straight and lined up. It's not just going to be flopping around in there. As well as in the upper receiver itself, they've got a bushing to prevent wear in your upper receiver, so you don't have to worry about that wearing out. I like that a lot. That's a nice feature. It's the nuances like this where they really thought it out in the engineering and the design. That's what you're paying for when you buy something like this. The HK is not an inexpensive gun by any means. We've got ARs on the wall that you could buy 10 of those for the price of one of these. And but you're not getting, you're not getting the quality. This is, in my opinion, this is 10 times the gun of what we got on the wall for that price. But again, with the markings, we've got the HK, and then I'm not an HK expert. I bet somebody out there could comment and tell me what the little what that marking means. And then I know the CE is a date code. I would have to look it up because I am not familiar enough to just say what that date code actually translates to right off the top of my head. On the barrel, again, we've got the same markings. On your gas block, you can better see this adjustable gas block from this point here. Now, something to keep in mind, this thing is going to get super hot when you're shooting the gun, so it's not something that you're going to want to grab with your hand to change the setting on it after you've been out on the range for a little bit, at least not without letting it cool off. So this is the piston, and you can tell they have test fired this gun because I have not fired it yet, and it does have a little bit of soot. It's not much, it's not bad, but this is where your gas rings are here. If you can see them there. There are 3 gas rings. Those are smaller than your standard gas rings that would be on an AR bolt. It might not be a bad idea to, buy some spares of this and just keep them in your range bag or something. Now, this is something I have not attempted to do yet, but I'm going to attempt to do it for the camera, is I have not attempted to take this adjustment piece out. And so I'm going to assume we're just going to pull down on this, and it might pull out, it may not. I don't know. That's something I should have paid attention to in the manual, but yeah, there it goes. We flipped it 180, and then it pulled out of there. Now, just kind of looking at it, this is the first time for me seeing it too, guys. I can't tell exactly how it works. It almost looks like, there's a hole in the front, if you can see, and there's a hole on the side. And so I'm not exactly sure how. I'm going to guess it's a bleed off more than anything. That's what I would suspect, that this is a bleed off in terms of how it controls gas pressure in your system. See if I can figure out how to get this thing back on. Oh, and then, nice enough of them, they put a notch in the top, so it appears that you line that up to slide it on or off, and then you've got your 2 positions here. So pretty basic in terms of operation and takedown, but that's part of it, is just the simplicity of this system, how robust it is, and I mean, it's a proven weapon system all around the world. So I'm excited for these. Like I said before, we had done a full 416 conversion a few years ago, and I ended up having to sell it so I could fund some other projects, and I always kind of regretted it. I wish I had kept that gun. There's not a whole lot of guns I regret selling, but if there was a couple, the HK 416 would be on the list. So when this came in, we actually got 3 of these. We sold 1. I'm probably going to keep this one here, and that's why I was comfortable taking it apart for you. And then we got 1 more available, and so that is on our website, armory219.com. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. You get what you pay for. It's a nice gun. It is a really nice gun. If you want it to be a 416, the parts are out there to make it like really, really clone correct. If you're not worried about that and you just want to accessorize it to your personal liking and your taste, you can do that as well. I want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. I know that there's a lot of other channels out there that put together better content and certainly better production quality. So it means a lot that you were willing to stop here on our channel and check this out and support our small business. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue to show you cool things in our videos. As far as shooting, I probably won't do as much of that because just the reality is, like, if it's not my gun, I'm not going to shoot it. If it's something we're trying to sell, that's not pre-owned, I'm not going to shoot it. We very specifically don't shoot new guns that are for sale because we want whoever buys it to be the one to decide whether or not that gun gets shot, how and when, and that they're the first one to do it. And that's just how it is. If guys are out there and they want to send me guns to shoot and make videos of, I'd be more than happy to do that. But otherwise, I've got to be willing to keep it before I'm going to shoot it. But I'm more than happy to show it to you and go over that. I do enjoy doing these videos, and so if there's something you want to see, something you had in mind that you'd like to see, let me know. And I mean, it could be a firearm, or it could be a topic that we just discuss. I love talking about business. I love, talking about the state of the 2A and different Second Amendment issues that are going on. So just let me know in the comments, or if there's a gun you want to see in a video, let me know. If we've got it or if we can get it, I will do a video about it and show you what's going on with that. And then I'm just putting this thing back together while you guys are listening to me ramble on here. Another neat thing, even in the upper receiver, hopefully it focuses for you, there are markings and part numbers in the upper receiver on the inside. So to me, when they, and I could be wrong, but when they go to the trouble to mark everything like that, I always feel like it's probably a sign that there's decent quality control. And quality, I think, is what you're getting. Not only quality in the manufacturing, but quality in the engineering with this MR556 A4. So, and I'm latching the dust cover just to prevent that from falling back, because since there are no rings on the bolt, there is nothing to hold it. And the fact that there is a spring in there actually wants to push it out. So when you go to put it back together, I usually grab that front takedown pin, and then I just kind of push this in by hand and line it up, throw the takedown pin in. But that's it, guys. That is the new MR556 A4 from HK, or Heckler & Koch, with an 11-inch barrel. This thing is screaming that it wants to be an SBR. Definitely check these out. If it's something that's been on your wish list, buy once, cry once, they always say. This is definitely one. Nobody's gonna, when you're old and you pass away and your kids got to deal with all the stuff you've accumulated throughout your life, nobody's gonna argue and fight over that Anderson or PSA rifle you've got. They will fight over this one for sure. So this is definitely an heirloom quality firearm in my opinion. Yeah, so that's basically it, guys. Again, and like I said at the beginning, thank you for coming and watching our channel. We appreciate it, and we'll bring you more soon.